You gotta tell me about that.
We'll call the June 6th City Council meeting to order. May we all rise for a moment of silence, please. Thank you. And if we could all repeat the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Between Roby and Jill and myself, it's like an old folks home up here now. we're having a hard time getting around. I thought about it, but you're sitting on that side and I didn't want to get hit from both sides. You've had a chance to look at the agenda. There are a couple of items that we need to add to the agenda. We'll add them as soon as I can turn the page. We'll add them after the construction management. 5C, consideration to approve DH Griffin Wrecking Company. And these numbers won't coincide with what you've got. That's the reason why I said that we'll do it after the construction management of David Ramsey. And then the next item, and it's right after that, consideration to approve the purchase of a yard machine for the electric department. And those are the only two items that we have to add. Are there any other items that need to be added? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
So moved.
Motion by Christine. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is consent agenda items. You've had a chance to look over those. I'll entertain a motion to approve. Motion to approve. Motion by Kevin. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the public comment. Let me ask before we go on any further, can everybody hear me? I know that we've got the fans going. You can't hear?
Turn them on.
Yeah, our air conditioning is out, so we're doing this, and the air conditioning is running full blast out there, and we're trying to suck the cool air in here. But hopefully that will help. Can you hear it now?
A little bit better.
Okay.
That was the one, yeah.
Okay. Public comment, and who signed up first?
Mr. Chris, is it Duchelle?
Chris?
No, sir.
You got 3 minutes. If you'll go over to the podium and address us, please, sir.
And Mayor, I'd like to mention, I put this in front of you. This will be the sign that Chris will be discussing tonight.
Thanks, sir.
And before you start Chris's timing, I told him I've never even known him to be able to say his name in 3 minutes. But so this is going to be a real struggle for him. Chris, floor's yours.
I just want to start by, as an example of how important this is, if you look at the number of veterans that are here with me, including the commanders of every organization in town, the founder of Mission 22, the founder of Camp Centurion are all here to support me. I would like to have the speed limit from Courthouse to Flint on Water Street and from Flint to Courthouse on Sycamore changed to 22 miles an hour to bring awareness of the 22 veterans a day that would lose their lives to suicide. There will be an information on there for anyone in need of help. We will put the organization symbols on our sign for anyone that needs help, not necessarily veterans, but anyone in need of help. If the city, for whatever reason, is not able to cover these funds, I will myself find people to cover the funds for this project. It is that important to me and all of these people that are here. honestly, sir, that's all I have to say.
And Richie and I had both talked to Chris, and this will have to take a public hearing. So next month we will present it, have a public hearing.
In August, because we won't.
Oh, that's
be
right,
meeting
in
then.
August.
But we'll do as we always do. We'll take this to our traffic safety committee, make sure that we're covering our bases. But I don't see an issue with the city covering the cost for this. I think that is something
the
that,
least
that we can do, and as our contribution
Thank you.
to the event or to the.
There's no state, nothing to do.
No,
You know how they-
I don't know that we've had this discussion. I don't know that you can have a speed limit under 20, but I think you can have one above 20. But I know you've seen them sometimes in neighborhoods. They'll say 9 miles an hour. Some of those aren't enforceable. But this would have to be on our books and our schedule, so you'll have to have a public hearing. But we'll make sure we vet everything. That way, when it comes back up, Chris can come back up, and if you have questions for him then, and questions for me or the chief, we can go through everything.
You're gonna do it like this with a sign underneath to bring
Yes.
recognition to what is going on there? Okay.
Very similar to what you've got in front of you.
And necessary, we have shovels, we have Quikrete, we can make it happen. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate your time.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate your
Look forward to hearing
time.
from you in August.
Thanks, sir, thank
And I want
you.
to thank you for the Memorial Day ceremony. That was really special.
We take a
Really,
lot of honor doing that.
really special.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, we do. We have some copies to us.
Is that the councilman's signature?
That I was talking to.
Okay, what's next?
Mr. Steve Peeler.
Steve?
I'm the district senior vice committee. The American Legion. Yes, sir.
Okay, Steve, let me remind you, 3 minutes, sir. Mhm. We'll try to hold you to it.
My name is Steve Peeler. I live at 321 North Oak Street in Lincolnton. But I'm here to implore you to do something for Electric Cities. The Electric Cities annual meeting is coming up August 11th through the 14th. Y'all have one more tremendous asset in your electric system. And you need to know what it is. You need to know how it works. You need to know what's happening and what's coming at you. And the place you'll find out is at that annual meeting. I asked last year, but nobody went. So I'm gonna ask again. See that man and sign up. I wanna see some faces at the annual meeting. Any questions?
Trent Mason.
Trent?
Donald Duck.
Okay, 3 minutes, sir.
Once again, City Council, Trent Mason, 207. Sorry, let's make sure I didn't whoops, I should have said. Making sure I didn't move that stuff. I hit some buttons up here. Anyway, 207 Mockingbird Lane. Just coming like I do every month, just to kind of give like the little update from my little piece of the world of Lincolnton, and also for the committee, for Young Adult Steering Committee, for which I chair, and that we follow a DDA for. Yesterday, well, first of all, let me say, if you haven't had a chance, please go see the article in In-State Magazine. It takes place in a day here in Lincolnton and what you can go out and do. It's a great insight into what we have to offer. Like I said, it's on, I don't know if is it published in their magazine or is it only an online article?
Yeah, they're online.
It's their online. Okay,
The good thing is we can utilize it for anything we do as well.
great. So I mean, if you haven't had a chance, please go read that. Next thing, I got to give it to the Student Advisory Board. Fantastic job, movies in the park. I know Richie was there. He got to watch my daughters try to steal popcorn, and then I had to go borrow $1 from Mr. Edie because I didn't realize I needed more than the money I had, and I didn't realize my 6-year-old was a kleptomaniac and could steal popcorn. So you might want to watch The Stand a little bit next time. All right. After that, want to say appreciative to like the city, the fire marshals, and the fire department and DDA putting together the fire extinguisher roundup. For someone who used to run plants, and like the cost of what it for fire extinguishers is can be anywhere from $75 to $100 to get one serviced. It costs $10. If you came up here to the fire department, I mean, it's a great service. From what I understand, we're going to start doing it every year now, and I hope to see more and more people take advantage of that. The only other thing I have is a Live After 5. For all the years, everybody's saying, "Hey, we want to change it up. We want to see something, more than just beach music." It was amazing to see the amount of people who showed up and actually backed up that talk. I felt bad for Kevin because I didn't realize I was sitting in front of him for some of it, and he had to look at my backside for a good solid 10 minutes. But I got to give it to Eric Taylor because he's chairing that with DDA. The next one's coming up this month, and I look forward to seeing everybody else there then. Simple as that. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Trent.
That's it.
Okay. Next item on the agenda, public hearings. First one is 3A ZTA-4-2024, and I'll turn it over to Gene.
Richie told us we only had 3 minutes as well, so just to let you know, this is gonna be quick. I just wanted to let you know I'm following directions. Now, actually, everything that's on this text amendment, there's no changes to policy. It's all cleanup. So this first one, both of these sections, 153.315 and 153.316, stated that you could turn your site plan or turn your application in 15 days before the meeting, and that's not our policy. We have an application deadline schedule. So we just changed the wording to match what it should be. The next one, 153.053 reference special use permits, and we no longer do those, so we just took that wording out, so that was a simple one. And then all of these next sections, they flip-flop back and forth, and you can go to like RMF and it'll say as permitted in R15, and so you have to flip to another section. So we put those permitted uses in there, so instead of having to flip around the ordinance, it was all in there. And then when we took out the special use permits, there was some wording that ended up being redundant or repetitive, and we took some of that out. So it's just all cleanup language. There's no changes to the way we do things. It's just cleaning up the ordinance and making it more readable. So I did do a proposed statement of consistency and reasonableness for approval of the application. I did not do the one for denial because it's just cleanup. If you do choose to deny this, then we would go back and do a statement for you for denial. And you did have that in your packet, all the changes, but we would recommend approving these changes.
Thank you, Gene.
Any questions?
Okay. Then I'll enter. Does anyone here wishing to speak to this issue? If not, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Motion by Roby. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Now I entertain a motion to approve as presented.
Motion to approve as presented.
Motion by Christine. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Gene. You did good. And you were under 3 minutes. That was really good. Next item on the agenda, I'll turn it over to Richie, I guess, for the budget.
Anybody signed up for?
Mr. Peeler.
Mr. Peter, okay. Y'all aware I presented the budget last month, the budget totaling $34,669,933. That amount has not changed, but as you are aware, we have a few line items that have, and the main reason being the vision by council and myself to at least go ahead and start the process of doing an assessment center for an assistant city manager. The idea, I think, originally was we would be probably okay by doing it in January. It would take some time, and we would only need funding at the end of it. But the mayor and I have talked about it. That would put us right in the middle of budget season, and I don't know that I can do the assessment center and the budget at the same time. So in reality, we really need to go ahead and do the assessment, have somebody on board in January that can help me with that. Naturally, it's going to take several months. It's just like we did with the police chief's assessment. It's somewhat of a gauntlet. and it doesn't happen overnight. So that was the only changes we had. Pam and I were able to maneuver the funds around, so the dollar amount did not change. But just wanted to put that out to council. And like I say, everything's still the same. No tax increase, no tax rate increase, no sewer rate increase, no water rate increase, no electric rate increase. All those stay the same. The Bossier City Fire Department rate stays the same, and the pay study A is included in this. So everything that we've talked about for the last few months is still in the budget. None of that has changed. Any questions y'all may have for me before Mr. Peeler comes up?
I just want to say, Mike, did you get all that?
He'll call me.
No tax increase.
The answer is no. Yeah. And there again, I think, as we have seen, that we're just like everybody else. As inflation has hit, our prices have gone up as well, but we have done the best we can. And I think you'll see here in a little bit an example of that, of making sure our costs are under control. And I give that credit to Pam, the finance department, and the department heads, because they do an excellent job in managing their budgets on a yearly basis. So I give all that credit to them.
Trying to figure out what the ring
Fire.
was. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't have.
Okay.
I wasn't timing
I thought, boy, you're tough tonight. Okay, any other questions? Okay, has anyone signed up for the public hearing? Okay.
Steve Peeler.
Steve?
Mayor, Richie answered my question, so I don't have any time.
Okay, sounds good. We like to streamline it. Okay, anyone else?
No, sir.
Okay, then I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Make that motion.
Motion by Jill. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. And we'll have to do this in 3 different motions
Yes, sir.
to keep it legal. First off, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the budget ordinance.
So moved.
Motion by Christine. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Now, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the 24-25 schedule of fees.
So moved.
Motion by Kevin. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. And I'll entertain a motion to adopt the City of Lincolnton's salary schedule and schedule of budgeted positions.
Make that motion.
Motion by Jill. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. That's it then. Budget has been approved. Good job, Richie
Thank y'all.
and Pam. She didn't even pay attention to me. I'm trying to thank her.
As they say, it's a 6-month overnight success.
Okay, next item on the agenda is the budget amendments, and I'll turn it over to Pam.
Good afternoon, evening, whatever we are in right now. In front of you, you have the budget amendment for, our first budget amendment for June. I don't want to go over this too much, but I do want to show a few things, and I do want to give you some good news before you vote on this budget amendment. As you can see in our general fund, the majority of this, again, is going to be our interest income. Our ad valorem levy taxes were increased, so we budgeted those. We had our planning fees, fire department fees. We've had everything come in that is over and above our original budget. But in this particular general fund, we also are required by the state law in Gadsby, we're required to put on our books debt for our leases. So you will see on here that we had over $900-something thousand because this is over a 5-year period of leases that I had to add to our budget, which is seen as a loan and then as a capital purchase because we're required to put them on our books like a capital asset. So that is why that amount is so big. And to give you an idea, we added approximately 16 police cars to our fleet, and the tsunami cameras on Water Street. So that makes up that $960,000 that's in the general fund. Power bill, again, is just interest income. And I'm honestly looking forward to moving some of our money from our operating fund into the NC class that you approved 2 months ago to generate some additional income that'll make this even more. So we're looking good there. In our water and sewer, we have, again, capital contributions. This right here is one lease equipment, a leased vehicle that we had to add for our loans. But we also had some lift stations and some other things on Car Farm contributions contributed to our fixed asset that we had to add on as well. So that's the reason that amount is so big. The $510,000 is that amount of money. The electric operations, again, is the operating regular interest income, and we did have one vehicle that we purchased from or we're leasing from Enterprise. That's added to that, so that adds that to that. The thing on here, other than the leasing, is our AIA grants that we received. We finally, from the state, received at least 3 of our reimbursements. Please be advised, don't deal with the state if you don't have to, but unfortunately we have to. But this right here is just the amount that we actually received and reimbursed, because it's supposed to be a wash. So that is the amount, $209,000 is what we received for our wastewater grants that we got from that. So I'm adding to our budget almost $2.5 million with this budget amendment. But to give you some idea as to where we are as of today, I ran this number before I walked in here. If we were to close our books today and we had no other expenditures, our general fund would have a surplus of almost $1.4 million. Power bill would have a surplus of almost $230,000. Water and sewer, right at $24,000, and electric would have $1.4 million increase with an increase in our fund balance. Like I said, if it was today, a little over $3 million would be added to our fund balance, which is our savings account. So I think, as Richie stated earlier, we have done a fantastic job this year, and that's where we're at. Any questions, I will be glad to answer anything you have. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Good job.
Okay, now, if there are no questions, then I'll entertain a motion to approve the budget amendment as presented.
So moved.
Motion by Rhodey. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Thank
you, Pam. Okay, next item on the agenda is consideration of the personnel policy. And Tanya's already up there.
I'm ready now.
Oh, it's all yours.
3 minutes. 3 minutes. Yes, Reed.
So item 4B has to do with the discussion we had back at the workshop in March, which involved educational involvement of city employees. There's a North Carolina general statute which allows for 4 hours per calendar year for employees to be involved in school activities. And we discussed the potential of increasing that to 8 hours per calendar year. And so the revision that was in your policy is the change in personnel policy, what the wording would read, that you had an opportunity to review. So at this time, I'm just asking if you have any questions regarding that, and if you would potentially approve it for our employees to have the increase in the hours.
Any questions of Tanya? Speaking for a retired educators, Jill and I, we know the importance of parents being involved with the child's education, and I think it's great that the city is able to do that as a service for not only the employees but their kids, because that's where the rubber hits the road. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion by Christine. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Tanya. And next up, Nathan, consideration of the revision of parks and recreation policies.
I told him it was so hot in here that he could stay in his seat if he wanted to. Actually, he's hot. I'm kind of cold right now because I came from a different part of the world in this building. So,
Yeah, thought out
Good
yet.
right now. Give it a little bit of time, and
yeah,
we're going to
that's true.
Be roasted.
Okay. This revision is actually part of the Parks and Recreation Policies and Procedures Manual, which was initially put in place in 2007. And that is when the city took over the operations of the Parks and Recreation within the city. It speaks to Section 11, which is actually the process for the volunteers for the programs that the park runs. And in the information I provided in your packet, you can see for a fiscal year, we're going to have approximately 450 volunteer coaches that we're going to have to run backgrounds on for the growing programs that we have. And Richie can attest to the growth of this department because in 07, what was it you told me you had participation?
267 kids.
267 kids. So now we have, for a fiscal year, the last one that we just completed, not the one we're in right now, over 2,000 kids participating in our programs. Of course, what comes along with that is all the volunteer coaches. Our department in HR is responsible for running all the backgrounds for these coaches because, of course, we want to have individuals who would be good role models for the kids that participate. So the policy that you had to review is actually the culmination of several months of research and pulling policies from other departments and putting that together, getting some input from the league's risk management, and then finally our own city attorney, John, had some input into it. And so what you have in the packet is the result of the work in reference to the process. So the major changes to the policy included updating the process for submitting the volunteer application. It was updating the disqualifier list. That was where we were having the most problems with, because when you're looking at disqualifying a volunteer coach, you want to make sure that you have all your ducks in a row, because generally our volunteer coaches have children on the teams, and it's never a good situation when you're having to tell a parent that they cannot be the coach of their child's team. So we put in some parameters for that. We implemented a appeal process for the volunteer coach applicants. We established the timeline, which we were already going by in reference to how long we run it. And then we outlined what the coach's responsibilities are. So at this time, I know you had the policy. If you have any questions about that, I'd like to answer anything you might be wondering about.
Questions?
Looked over it, looked good. Looked good.
And we can thank John. No, you just kind of reviewed it. You had a one question limit.
And maybe next month, Nathan, she'll give you a chance to talk. Just picking with you, Tanya.
It's really something that we needed to do. We're asking for it to be effective July 1st because this is something that's done online and we need to be able to implement it in our online system. So July 1 is where we would change the policy and put this into place.
As a former volunteer coach for 3 years, it's good to see it in writing.
I think so. Then you don't have questions.
Okay, then I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Make that motion.
Motion by Jill. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Tanya. Okay, next item on the agenda is David Ramsey, and this is concerning some property. So, David, I'll turn it over to you.
Good evening. This is for your consideration and approval of the demolition of the Joe Ford property, which is down across from the splash pad behind the Ann Ford property. A lot of us in town know it as the old chicken hatchery. We got a couple of quotes on getting that demolished. The difference in the quotes, the first quote we got from D.H. Griffin was $47,000, and the quote from the other company was $82,000. We did find out that there was asbestos siding on the house. There was asbestos flooring in the house and a couple of small other things. So the demolition price went from $47,000 to $55,000. I did not ask the other company that provided the $82,000. I didn't think they were going to go down. So
That's a good price considering the asbestos abatement.
Yeah, it's only about a $6,000, $7,000 increase from the original price. So I would like your consideration and approval for us to get started with this.
Do we have any bids from anybody from Lincoln County, or do we have
Yes.
a demolition?
We do. And the other bid was from someone in Lincoln County who does a lot of business with the city.
This company actually specializes in the demo, and they have the experience and the people to do the abatement. So it's
what they do. And they're the same ones that are doing the courthouse. So
We use the same company with the school system.
yeah, we used them when we tore the Lincoln Times building down.
what they do.
Okay, then hearing no other questions, I'll entertain a motion to approve the demolition.
So moved.
Motion by Christine. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, and David, you're just going to get to stay up there and tell us about the construction management.
Yes. As you're aware, we're doing a construction manager at risk for the XL project to be our new public service center. We put out an RFQ, request for qualifications for that. We had 6 companies apply to be the construction manager at risk. The project team of myself, Richie, Nathan Urey, Todd Elmore, Robert Pearson, along with the architectural and engineering firm Becker Morgan Group, got together and went through those qualifications, and we ultimately chose 2 to interview. One was Hickory Construction Company out of Hickory, and the other one was Edifice Construction Company out of Charlotte. I say they're out of Charlotte. They've got multiple locations throughout the state. And based on the interviews that we did and the information they submitted, they did some directly related tasks at other locations that would be very similar to what we're doing with this XL building. One's in Gastonia, which we're going to visit next week, I believe. And there's another one in Harrisburg that we're going to go visit as well. But we felt very comfortable with Edifice. The two presentations they did in the interviews. For lack of a better analogy, have you driven a Ford Taurus or have you driven a Cadillac? Just based on and we felt like Edifice was the Cadillac of the situation. So we would like your approval to hire the construction manager at risk company.
This will be a single prime, single bid.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And they're responsible for all the bidding from this point out and getting the 3 bids and so forth.
Basically, as we told you, they work for us, and they've actually attended one of our first design review meeting. And as we were sitting in the meeting discussing the design plans, they've already saved us about $19 million just by looking at one of the plans. He said, "You don't want to do that. That's going to cost you about $19 million if you do that." So they're already paying for themselves, in my opinion.
Any other questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve Edifice as the construction manager at risk.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Kevin. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
David, while you're up there, tell us about the approval of D.H. Griffin.
Okay, at the XL building, I don't know how many of you have been in there, but there are some very large pieces of machinery in there. One, it's the brake machine that's actually in the concrete. I mean, it's part of the slab. So we had D.H. Griffin come over there to look at those. There's a compressor in one of the rooms that we call the submarine because it looks about like a 2 or 3 man submarine. It's that large. There's a boiler and a couple other pieces of equipment that, if we auction those off, if we did a removal auction, it's people can't get it out without the proper equipment and tearing them apart and so forth. I mean, they're going to torch some of these things out. Of course, they get to keep this metal and the steel that comes out, which will be quite a bit. That brake machine, the walls that are about that wide and it's solid steel. So It's going to be a job. And again, they're ones that this is what they do all the time, and their pricing is much lower than anything else we've gotten.
Any questions of David? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion by Roby. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. And David, we're getting tired of seeing you, but one more. One more, David. Yard machine.
And I may refer to our new electric director, Brent Turner, who's here. We wanted to put this on the budget just to give you an update. We've had this in our budget approved for a new yard machine for the past couple of years at the price of, I think, $250,000. The company that Brent and Chris Wilson have been talking to find one, they have found one that is very slightly used. It has less than 100 hours on it, and as opposed to the $236,000 or $240,000 that a new one would be, this one is $172,000. Brent and his team have gone and played with it, put it through the works to make sure that it works, and it's what they want, and it is what they want. So, Brent, did I leave anything else out?
Brent, for
Other than 2 council members on Laurel Street and employees for the city, we like our yards. We need a yard machine. I'd like to know if you'd take care of it. What a yard machine is, if you want to know right quick. And
that's what
we
I
don't
was
have a
gonna
picture,
ask
but
to explain.
and Steve will know what I'm talking about. But in the '60s, there was a movement with utilities and subdivisions to put something called back property construction. Crestview, where Pop lives, is back property construction. All the power lines are built on the back property. It's a wonderful thing, and then people started putting something called houses in front of it. And then they started putting buildings, and then they started putting fences. And when you're working on power lines, the finding it is a hard part, and the fixing is a hard part. But when you're working on power lines that you have a hard time finding and you have a hard time fixing, when they're back property, it becomes, the real problem is getting to it. So what a yard machine does is this. It's 4 feet wide. It shrinks to 3 feet. It's on tracks. It can set a 50-foot pole. It can dig an 8-foot hole. It can take the pole in with it. It can take everything we need. Transformers. It's even got a bucket. And utilities have been using them for years. We're a little behind on it. But the properties we're responsible for, like the Walmart line that goes over the river and through the woods, and the Startown line that goes over the water and through the woods, they have to use trucks, and everything we got is pretty much 4-wheel drive, but front end loaders and winches to even get to the problem. So this makes us better. It makes us better because it makes it safer for our people. And it makes us better because it makes us more efficient to restore the power. And that's what we're looking at. And we did try it out, and it's a huge savings. And it's nothing that's new. These things have been around. It's from a reputable company. And we'd appreciate the consideration on it. If you have any questions, we'll be happy to answer. But back property,
right?
It's got tracks. And it will go through a 3-inch gate, which last year they had to take
3 foot.
3 foot, 3 inch. Boy, I like that. So 3 foot gate. But and last year they had to take some fences up in Crestview
Got stuck in the yard.
to get stuck in yards. And I'm not saying we're not going to get stuck, but we have a fighting chance at getting in to fix the problem. And we all know that's coming. So the back property was good when it started, but it's a liability now, safety issue and accessibility, and that's what we're trying to get around, and it will make us better.
And it can be delivered next week.
Next week, yes.
If we take one that has already been ordered, that would be 6 months. If we specially order one, that
End
could
of
be
2025,
18 months.
260 plus.
Yeah.
So if we ordered one just for us, Ivan said that it would be 260,000 plus, and we will be looking at the end of 2025 if it's specified for us. So we think it's a pretty good deal.
Do you move it around? How do you move it around? You pull, I mean.
itself.
It moves itself, self-move, okay.
Yes, it's got 3 ways. You can stand on it, drive it. It's got an actual wireless remote. You can stand to the side and work it, or it's got a wired remote. So you can, when you're walking it in on somewhere where you may be a little afraid of some tipping, the outriggers go down and you can get away from it and let it do its thing while you're controlling it, you know, with transformers and poles that weigh a lot with it. So from a safety point, utilities have been using them for years. And when I was on the storm team, we didn't have such a thing. When I worked for Duke, there was not such a thing out there. But it's a really, really labor and saving, but mostly it's for safety. And that's what makes us better.
From job to job, do you pull it on and put it on a trailer?
It comes with a self-contained trailer. It's got everything on it. We just take it from job to job when we need it. That's correct. That's correct.
Pretty good.
It's a $78,000 savings on what we budgeted.
Is this within?
This is in our budget right now. So we were gonna purchase one, but it's a $78,000 savings from what we budgeted.
In the past, they've looked at models that had more use on them, and Ivan, knowing that the city of Lincoln had been looking for a couple of years, just quit calling about what we thought was junk. And when he got this one with less than 100, hours on it, which if you do the math, if you were driving miles, it'd be like 540 miles on the engine. And we went down and put Chris Wilson on it to see if he could tear it up, and he couldn't. So but we're still hopeful that he can.
I said played with it. Yeah, he said tear it up.
So he was our test pilot, and we worked with it all day. We worked with it most of the day to the point we ran it out of gas and had to get more. So we did our due diligence on what will it do, how does it work. We've heard about them, seen them. I've talked to my friends that are still in the industry. They're all in love with them, and it just makes us better, period. And we appreciate the consideration.
Chris go along with it good. I mean, he liked it.
Staff seen it.
I got him on video if you'd like to see him.
Yeah, I take your word for it.
He's grinning ear to ear, but yeah, we appreciate the consideration. Any more questions?
Okay, since there are no other questions, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion by Christine. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I'm going to go sit down.
Now, I'm going to leave David up here a minute, but David has completed the MCA at Chapel Hill, so we're going to recognize him next month when there's air conditioning.
Maybe.
Is it going to be that big of a deal? You got to have that long to plan it, or
yeah,
what?
That'd be thousands of people here for that, probably.
My roots run deep. Maybe my roots run deep.
I know. I've been coming to work.
And to give you an update, through a grace of luck, Brent McConnell was able to find a vehicle for the fire department that we now have our name on, and he just updated me that it's on a freight car somewhere in Virginia. And as y'all know how the train company, it probably has to go to California first to get on a truck to come back. But it should be about 10 to 14 days it should be here. Just a little update.
Good.
Thank you very much. Y'all good evening.
Okay, next item on the agenda is the approval of the chemical company contracts. And Todd, dazzle us, because we don't have a clue what you're getting ready to talk to us about.
I'm not even going to try to attempt some of the names of the chemicals. That way I can keep it under the 3 minutes. So we had bids for the water and wastewater plants for the chemicals on Tuesday, April 18th. The bids, I think you have our recommendation of what we are, what we want. The bids have actually gone down from what they were last year, and I've got copies, if you want to pass that to them, of actually what the bids were last year. So that's one good thing that they have went down. The companies are the ones that we've been, dealing with. Chemtrade, Brentag, Univar, Jones Chemical. So we're just looking for approval to take the bids. All the bids, our recommendation were all the lowest bids that we did get, so. And all of them, I think, but possibly one or maybe all of them were actually cheaper than what they were last year.
It's unusual that chemicals would go down.
Yeah, that's what. I was surprised when Christy, I got her to print me off a copy from last year. And yeah, I was kind of surprised. With everything else going up, I was really shocked that they had went down. And one of them, I think, had sent an email about possibly going up on theirs. So I think she called them and asked them, you know, are you wanting to change your bid, whatever? And they said no, just disregard the email. That, you know, so that was the only one that was going to maybe be just a little more, but they're all cheaper than last year and the lowest bids. So.
Any questions about chemicals? If not, go ahead.
I don't understand what one of them is. I don't know what the question would be.
That's the reason why
I
we're
can't
going
even
quick.
pronounce it. The one that's got the longest name on there is actually just fluoride, but it's like, you know, just.
Okay, and I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Make that motion.
Motion by Jill. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Todd. Okay, next item, and whenever we talk about not understanding what's going on, I think it's about time to bring up Chris. Oh, get it, Chris.
I love the intro. I love the intro.
Thank you. Anytime. We're going on the road with it. Tell us about AutoWorks.
It is a 3-year deal. We currently use them for our internet, and this is a 3-year agreement coming up where if we ink into it, we'll save $20,000 over 3 years. So I'm on the train of saving money like everybody else here tonight. Let me pop this up full screen. And with IT, you usually see red numbers. I have green numbers tonight, so that's a good deal. But this is both our internet links. We have a main link and a secondary link. The secondary link's the old legacy link that we connect to the SBI and stuff for the police department. So down at the bottom, there's a nice green number of $20,000 that we would save for contracting up for 3 years with them, rather than just going month to month. And there's a lot built into the net pipes. They house our, I'm gonna try to keep a high level here, stay with me. They house our public internet addresses, so when you migrate from one net to the other, you have to migrate that with you. And, yeah. So, but any other questions? Or?
I can't believe that it's a savings of that much.
Yep, savings of that much. Now, we are moving away, you know, we put the fiber in and everything, so eventually we're going to save a lot more money with them. And I've kind of sold it to them that we'll stay with you if you take care of us, and this is what they came back with. So,
Sounds great, Chris. Any other questions? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the contract agreement with AutoWorks.
So moved.
Motion by Christine. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Chris. Okay, next item on the agenda is the consideration of approval of mutual aid agreement. And Richie?
And this comes to us through Electric Cities, but as you know, throughout the year and actually throughout the years, we've had situations, whether it's been Hugo, ice storms, snow, storms, thunderstorms, tornadoes, where either we've had to ask for assistance or we have provided assistance to other electric departments.
They can't hear you.
Can you not hear? I think because my mic might be. I'll get a little bit closer to it. And so providing that service, we have to have these mutual agreements with anybody that would be coming in or somebody we would be going to assist. So this basically just protects us because, as you know, and when we're talking about that could be in the middle of the night and we don't have time to call a council meeting to get the agreement. So it's just something that we do periodically to make sure that we're covered and the people that would be coming in to help us would be covered as well.
Okay, any questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the mutual aid agreement.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Kevin. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the manager's report.
Yeah, I'm going to take a little bit of my own medicine and say 3 minutes. So, but just wanted to remind you a few dates. Tomorrow is recycling, so make sure your blue can is out. And then this Saturday is the second Saturday Shop Local. So I know last month that was probably one of the bigger second Saturday Shop Locals that I think I've seen. As Trent mentioned, we had our movie in the park that night, so we had something going pretty much from that morning all the way to about 11 o'clock that night. I've also provided you, again this month, the city page. That is some great information to go through, to see what our employees are doing, to see some anniversaries, and some other things that are going on, birthdays and so forth. So I will continue to put that in your activity report. Also, if you would look at the homeless report, you'll notice a downward trend when it comes to incidences and arrest. We've only had 6 incident reports and 1 charge in that month. So that is really good for May. It's considering as much activity as we've had in our downtown in that same time frame. I did put in there your action spreadsheet. You'll notice 2 changes. I sent that to you today. The lady that spoke, both of those issues have been addressed. There's action being taken on both of them. One of which, though, I did put in there, the tree that she was talking about is not on the city right away. And yes, so we're just going to ask the people that own the home if they want to try to manage it, so before it does get out in the right of way. But as of right now, we would not have any grounds to go trim the tree. The other one, Gene is taken care of, and it is being it is going through code enforcement as we speak. Also, I put a calendar in there not only for June, but I also put in there for July, because even though we meet in June, we won't have a July meeting. So I put both of those in there. Trent had mentioned the Our State article. Laura has always worked with Our State magazine to provide that, and I put the article in there. It's a great article on our local businesses in Lincolnton, and if you can imagine, I'd say most people in the state have heard of Lincolnton, but they don't know the activities that we have going on. And this just gives their readers, just like I said, just a briefing of what all we have going on here, and hopefully entices them to come and bring that out of city money to here and spend. So it's a great opportunity. I want to thank Tourism Development. This is a prime example of them using those hotel tax dollars to promote Lincolnton and hopefully to get people here and put people in hotel rooms. We'll have more in detail, but I would like to mention an incident on the rail trail. We had a gentleman that had an unfortunate health issue. What I say is our local heroes, our police and fire, our EMS, and actually other residents that were on the trail saved this person's life. And so we will have more names and so forth at probably our August meeting. But I just wanted to mention that, one of the benefits of living in town are you are so close to the police department, the fire department. Generally speaking, we have an EMS that is around the community as well. But the time that it took for this person to start receiving treatment, the lady that helped him until the fire department got there, it's just a matter of minutes. If he would have been somewhere else, I don't think he would be with us right now. So we will, like I said, we will recognize the individuals involved. But I just think, when you watch a video like that, number one, it just tells you how precious life is. But number two, you're thankful for the people who are basically here to protect us and to make sure that our day to day is as good as it can be. But when we get into the story, you'll appreciate it even more. But I just wanted to mention that. After that, I'm just very thankful for the people we have in place. like I say, it's a rush job, but if you got any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
You kind of hit on this on the merchant meetup the other morning, but just, we're a month into the social district. You want to give a little 30-second report on that?
And for those of y'all that weren't in that meeting, I really just wanted to find out the merchant's point of view, because
I'd be interested in you, Robbie. I don't know.
myself and the police chief, we've not had any phone calls. And I don't know of any phone calls that our staff has received. And the merchants themselves said they had not had any issues. I had actually gone around to the restaurants and bars and talked to the owners and the majority of them, and they had not had any issues either. I was there that first Saturday, and we had people participating, but like I said, they were naturally, under control, having a good time. I think historical data is everything. So when you're talking about 50 cities that went before us, I think we'll be the 51st that'll be able to have a testimony that we've really not seen any issues with it.
How many people do you think participated?
That day, I saw 6 or 7, but now I wasn't downtown, but for probably about an hour. But I know that when we had our tourism development meeting Tuesday, the young lady that came and spoke was from Denver, and she said one of the things that she was excited about, and she's going to be doing hopefully some marketing for Lincolnton, is the fact of the social district. And she said she had already had a lot of her friends had already told her that they had come up here and participated. So,
thank you.
Yes.
Anything else for Richie? Okay, next item on the agenda, Mike, you got any questions?
Yeah, I want to direct one to Rich. The upcoming budget.
Yes.
Special agency allocations. Can you tell me what you're giving the Lincoln County Historical Association?
$7,500, and that's what they received last year.
Yeah, it's come up because the county is denying any allocation to the association.
Yeah, we have several the nonprofit organizations that provide a service to the community that we don't have to provide. And so we have several that we give money to each year because of that. Because if the city had to hire a historical department to provide that service, then that would be hundreds of thousands. So they're not the only ones that actually receive funding based off that.
There was a number of
Cool. Yes, but it's $7,500.
And one other thing, what were the street sections in which the potential speed limit would be lowered?
It was basically Water Street and Sycamore from Flint to Court Square. One's going from Court Square to Flint, the other will be going from Flint to Court Square.
And that won't require any.
No, those are city streets. It'll require approval from the city council. Yes. Yeah, generally speaking, when we have anything that involves traffic, we take it to our traffic safety committee, where they will go through everything and then make a recommendation to city council. But that will require a public hearing.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to go into closed session to
Motion to
discuss
close.
property acquisition.
Motion to go into closed session.
Motion by Christine, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.